I paid for the $20,000 Japan trip, then Dad replaced me with my brother's fiancée, so I froze the cards. The alarm buzzed at 5:30 a.m., same as it had for the past 8 months. Elena Martinez rolled out of bed, her body protesting against another early morning shift at the hospital. As a nurse practitioner, she could have taken easier hours, but the overnight differential pay was too good to pass up. Not when she had a dream to fund. Japan, she whispered to herself, the word carrying the weight of months of careful planning and sacrifice. She padded to her kitchen, past the empty takeout containers that had become her dinner staple. Cooking took time, and time was money she couldn't afford to waste. Her phone buzzed with a text from her younger brother Marcus. "Dude, I just saw this video about the robot restaurant in Tokyo. We have to go there." Attached was a colorful video of dancing robots and flashing lights. Elena smiled despite her exhaustion. At 26, Marcus still had that childlike excitement about everything, especially when someone else was paying. She opened her banking app while her coffee brewed. The Japan fund sat at $18,347. Almost there. The trip she'd been planning for her family was going to be epic, a 2-week luxury tour of Japan during cherry blossom season. She'd researched every detail: the perfect ryokan in Kyoto with private hot springs, the exclusive tea ceremony experience in a 400-year-old temple, the bullet train rides with Mount Fuji views, and the best spots for hanami parties under blooming sakura trees. "Morning, sunshine," her colleague Jenny said as Elena arrived at the hospital. "You look like death warmed over." Again. "Thanks for the pep talk," Elena laughed, tying her hair back. "Only 3 more months of these doubles, and then I'm off to Japan with the family. Still can't believe you're dropping 20 grand on a family vacation. That's like a down payment on a house." Elena shrugged. "You can't put a price on family memories. Besides, when's the next time we'll all be free to travel together? Marcus is getting married next year. Dad's talking about retirement, and Mom's been wanting to see cherry blossoms her whole life." What Jenny didn't know, what Elena hadn't told anyone, was that this trip was about more than just vacation photos. Growing up, money had always been tight. Her parents had worked multiple jobs to keep the family afloat, and luxuries were rare. Elena remembered being the only kid in her class who'd never been on a plane, never stayed in a hotel with room service, never experienced the kind of trip she saw other families posting about on social media. Now, at 29, she finally had the means to give her family something extraordinary. The look on her mother's face when Elena had first proposed the trip, pure joy mixed with disbelief, made every skipped dinner and extra shift worth it. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was her mom, Rosa. "Mija, I found another temple we should visit. Look at these pictures." The message included photos of a stunning temple surrounded by pink blossoms, with traditional architecture that looked like something from a movie. Then came a message from her dad, Roberto. "Elena saw a documentary about Japanese whiskey. Think we can visit a distillery?" Even her usually practical father was getting caught up in the excitement. The best part was watching her family's group chat explode with ideas and excitement. Marcus sent videos of street food tours, Mom shared articles about traditional Japanese gardens, and Dad researched the history of samurai culture. Elena screenshot every message, saving them in a folder labeled Japan Memories. Even the pre-trip excitement felt precious. During her lunch break, Elena pulled up her meticulously organized spreadsheet. She'd color-coded everything: green for booked and paid, yellow for pending, red for urgent. The flights were secured, first class, because she wanted her parents to experience luxury. The ryokan reservations were confirmed with a hefty deposit. The JR rail passes were ordered. The only red item left was the final payment for their exclusive guide service. $2,000 more, she muttered, calculating in her head. If she picked up 2 more weekend shifts and sold her car to buy a cheaper one, she could make it work. Her colleague Mark peered over her shoulder. "Planning world domination?" "Planning the perfect family trip," Elena replied, minimizing the screen. "Every detail has to be perfect. You know they'll love it no matter what, right? Your family's lucky to have someone who cares this much." Elena smiled, but there was something deeper driving her perfectionism. She'd always been the responsible one, the problem solver, the one who made things happen. When Marcus needed help with college applications, Elena wrote them. When her parents' small business struggled, Elena helped with the books. When anyone in the family had a crisis, Elena was the first call. This trip was her chance to be the hero in a different way, not fixing a problem, but creating something beautiful. She imagined the four of them watching the sunrise over Mount Fuji, sharing quiet moments in the Ryokan's hot springs, laughing over authentic ramen in tiny Tokyo restaurants. She pictured her parents holding hands under cherry blossom trees, finally getting the romantic getaway they'd never been able to afford in 30 years of marriage. That evening, Elena sat in her tiny apartment, surrounded by travel guides and printed itineraries. She'd highlighted restaurant recommendations, bookmarked Instagram posts from travel bloggers, and created a day-by-day schedule that balanced must-see attractions with relaxation time. Her living room looked like a travel agency had exploded in it. Her phone rang, a group video call from the family. "Elena!" Mom's face filled the screen, beaming. "I can't sleep thinking about this trip. I keep looking at the photos you sent of the Ryokan. Is it really going to have those beautiful gardens?" With a private tea ceremony just for us, Elena confirmed, her heart swelling at her mother's excitement. "I've been practicing with chopsticks," Marcus chimed in from his corner of the screen, demonstrating his technique with 2 pencils. "Sarah thinks I'm crazy, but I want to be ready." Sarah, Marcus's fiancée. Elena noticed she wasn't on the call, which was odd since she'd been included in recent family video chats. But she pushed the thought away. Sarah was probably working late at her marketing firm. 3 months, Dad said, shaking his head in wonder. "I still can't believe we're really doing this." "Elena, you're something else, kiddo. This is the most generous thing anyone's ever done for this family." Elena felt tears prick her eyes. "You guys are worth it. Every penny." After the call ended, she sat in the quiet of her apartment, looking at the scattered papers and guidebooks. Her bank account would be nearly empty after this trip, and she'd have to rebuild her savings from scratch. But the joy in her family's voices, the excitement in their messages, the way her parents looked at each other when they talked about experiencing Japan together, it was priceless. She picked up one more travel guide, flipping to a page about cherry blossom viewing traditions. In Japan, Hanami wasn't just about looking at flowers. It was about appreciating the temporary beauty of life, gathering with people you loved, and creating memories that would last forever. Elena smiled, making a mental note to book them a premium Hanami spot. After 8 months of overtime shifts, cheap meals, and careful budgeting, she was finally going to give her family the trip of a lifetime. Nothing could ruin this perfect plan. Nothing at all. 1 week before departure, Elena was folding her carefully selected outfits when her phone rang. Dad's contact photo, him grinning at last year's barbecue, flashed on the screen. "Hey, Dad. Perfect timing. I just finished packing the portable phone chargers for everyone and... Elena, we need to talk. Family meeting. Tonight. 7 sharp." Something in his tone made her stomach drop. Roberto Martinez was usually warm, calling her Mija, and asking about her day before getting to business. This version of her father sounded distant. Professional, like he was calling a work meeting instead of talking to his daughter. "Is everything okay? Did something happen with the flights? The reservations? Just be there, Elena. And don't be late." The line went dead. Elena stared at her phone, a cold dread settling in her chest. Family meetings were rare in the Martinez household. The last one had been 3 years ago when they discussed caring for Grandma Rosa's medical expenses. Before that, it was when Marcus had gotten into trouble in college. 7 o'clock found Elena sitting in her parents' living room, the familiar space feeling suddenly foreign. Mom sat stiffly on the couch, avoiding eye contact. Marcus was there, but he kept checking his phone and wouldn't meet her gaze either. Most surprising was Sarah, perched on the arm of Marcus's chair like she belonged at a family meeting about their family trip. "So," Dad began, settling into his favorite recliner with the casual air of someone discussing weekend plans, "we need to make a slight adjustment to our Japan situation." Elena's heart started pounding. "What kind of adjustment?" "Well, honey," he continued, And there was something in his tone that made her skin crawl, that patronizing sweetness people used when they were about to deliver bad news. We've been thinking about family unity, about welcoming Sarah properly into our family before the wedding. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very interested in her manicured nails. Marcus finally looked up from his phone, but his expression was guilty rather than supportive. What does that have to do with Japan? Elena asked, though a horrible suspicion was already forming in her mind. Dad cleared his throat. It would be awkward, don't you think, for Sarah to be the only one left out of this big family experience? Especially with the wedding coming up. We want her to feel included, to understand that she's truly part of the Martinez family. The room fell silent except for the tick of the old grandfather clock in the corner. Elena looked from face to face, waiting for someone to explain how this connected to their Japan trip, waiting for the punchline that would make this make sense. So we think, Dad continued with that same casual tone, it would be better if Sarah took your place on the trip. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. She actually gasped, her hand flying to her chest. I'm sorry, what? Now, Elena, hear me out, Dad said, raising his hand as if he was being completely reasonable. You're independent. You're mature. You'll understand why this is important for our family image. Sarah's going to be a Martinez soon, and this trip is the perfect opportunity to welcome her properly. Elena's mind reeled. She looked at her mother, desperate for support, but Rosa was staring at her hands folded in her lap. Mom, your father thinks it's for the best, Mom whispered, still not looking up. Marcus. Elena's voice cracked. You're seriously okay with this? Her brother finally met her eyes, and what she saw there, guilt mixed with resignation, told her everything. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. This had been planned, discussed, decided without her input. Elena, look, Marcus said, his voice strained. I know it's not ideal, but Sarah's never been anywhere like Japan. Her family never traveled. This would mean everything to her. Her family never traveled? Elena's voice rose an octave. Our family never traveled either. That's the whole point. That's why I've been working doubles for 8 months. But you can travel whenever you want, Dad interjected smoothly. You have a good job, you're single, you don't have responsibilities like Marcus does. You can plan another trip later. You're good with money. You'll figure it out. The casual dismissal of her sacrifice, her planning, her dreams, it was breathtaking in its cruelty. Elena felt like she was underwater, everything muffled and strange. Besides, Sarah spoke for the first time, her voice small but determined. It would be really meaningful for me to experience this with my new family, to bond with everyone before the wedding. Elena stared at her future sister-in-law, noting how Sarah's eyes didn't quite meet hers either. There was something practiced about her words, like she'd rehearsed them. Let me get this straight, Elena said slowly. You want me to give up the trip I planned, the trip I saved for, the trip I've been looking forward to for months so that Sarah can bond with the family? When you put it like that, you make it sound selfish, Dad said with a slight frown. But we're talking about family unity here, Elena. About doing what's best for everyone. Everyone except me. You'll have other opportunities, he said dismissively. Sarah won't. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for her to really become part of our family. Elena looked around the room again, searching desperately for an ally. But Mom remained silent. Marcus looked anywhere but at her, and Sarah sat there with an expression that was trying to be apologetic but couldn't quite hide something else. Satisfaction? Anticipation? What about all the planning? The research? The reservations I made specifically for the 4 of us? Sarah's excited about all of that, Dad said. She's been looking forward to the tea ceremony especially, and the Ryokan experience. Something cold settled in Elena's stomach. She's been looking forward to it. Dad's eyes flickered, just for a moment, with what might have been panic. But he recovered quickly. I mean, now that we've told her about it, she's very excited. But Elena had caught it. The slip. The admission that Sarah had known about this beforehand, had been looking forward to Elena's carefully planned experiences. How long had they been planning this? How long had they been discussing her trip behind her back? I need some air, Elena said, standing abruptly. "Elena, don't be dramatic," Dad called after her. "We can discuss this like adults." But she was already at the door, her hands shaking as she fumbled with the handle. She needed to get out, needed to think, needed to process what had just happened. As she stepped into the cool evening air, she heard her father's voice through the window. "She'll come around. Elena always does what's best for the family." Elena spent the night pacing her apartment, her mind racing. By morning, she'd convinced herself that maybe she'd overreacted. Maybe there was a way to work this out. Maybe she could book herself on a later flight, join them halfway through the trip. Her family wouldn't really exclude her completely, would they? She called her dad at 8 a.m., hoping to catch him before work. "Elena, good. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this." "Dad, I've been thinking, what if I join you guys a few days later? I could meet you in Tokyo, or..." "Honey, that's not really practical. The group bookings, the reservations, they're all set for 4 people. Adding a 5th person would complicate everything." Elena felt her throat tighten. "But I'm not a 5th person. I'm your daughter. I planned this trip. And we appreciate that, we really do. But Elena, if you really loved your family, you'd understand why this is important. Marcus is getting married. Sarah is going to be a Martinez. This is about your brother's happiness." There it was, the guilt trap Elena knew so well. The same tactic Dad had used when she'd wanted to go away for college instead of staying local. The same manipulation that had convinced her to lend Marcus money for his car down payment. The same emotional blackmail that had kept her from moving across the country for a better job opportunity. "So my happiness doesn't matter?" Of course it does. But you're strong, Elena. You're independent. You don't need this trip the way Sarah does. You can travel anytime you want. "With what money, Dad? I spent everything on this trip. 8 months of overtime, living on instant ramen, driving a car with 200,000 miles because I couldn't afford repairs. I gave up everything for this. And that's exactly why you'll understand." His voice took on that patient, patronizing tone that made her want to scream. "You're a giver, Elena. You've always put family first. That's who you are." Elena closed her eyes, feeling the familiar weight of expectation settling on her shoulders. This was how it always worked in the Martinez family. Elena sacrificed, Elena understood, Elena put everyone else first. And somehow, it was always framed as her choice, her generous nature, her strength. "What about all the research I did? The special experiences I planned?" Sarah's excited about those too. She's been reading about tea ceremonies since we told her. And she's never stayed anywhere as nice as that ryokan you picked. Since we told her. Another slip. How long had Sarah known she was replacing Elena? "Dad, I need you to understand something. I didn't plan this trip for just anyone. I planned it for us. For our family. For memories with my parents and my brother. And now it's for memories with your brother's future wife. Elena, you're being selfish. This is bigger than just you." Selfish. The word hit her like a slap. 8 months of 60-hour weeks, living on crackers and peanut butter, driving with bald tires because new ones weren't in the budget, and she was selfish for wanting to go on the trip she'd funded. "Let me talk to Mom. Your mother agrees with me. We discussed it as a family." As a family? I wasn't part of that discussion. "Elena, you're being dramatic. You know we love you. But sometimes love means making sacrifices for the greater good." The greater good. As if her exclusion from her own family trip was some noble cause. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Can we talk? Just the 2 of us." 20 minutes later, Marcus showed up at her apartment with coffee and guilt written all over his face. He couldn't sit still, pacing her small living room like a caged animal. "This is messed up, Elena. I know it's messed up." "Then why aren't you standing up for me?" Marcus stopped pacing, his shoulders sagging. "Because Sarah cried when she found out about the trip. She said she felt like an outsider, like your family would never really accept her. So, her feelings matter more than mine?" "That's not, look, Elena, she's going to be my wife. I have to think about our future together. Dad says this would solve everything. Sarah feels included, and you get to plan another trip without having to worry about what everyone else wants. Elena stared at her brother, seeing clearly for the first time how he'd changed since getting engaged. When had Marcus become someone who would throw his sister under the bus to avoid conflict with his fiancée? Marcus, I want you to think about something. Really think. When has Sarah ever shown interest in Japan before last week? When has she ever talked about travel, or culture, or any of the things I've been planning? Marcus opened his mouth to answer, then closed it. And when, exactly, did Dad and Sarah have their conversation about her feeling left out? Because the only way she could feel left out of a trip she didn't know about is if someone told her about it specifically to make her feel left out. Elena, that's not. You're being paranoid. Am I? Or am I finally seeing clearly? Marcus set down his untouched coffee and headed for the door. I hoped you'd understand. I hoped you'd be the bigger person here. Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. The bigger person.
Right.
The bigger person always gives up what they want so everyone else can be happy. Elena, please. Just think about it, okay? Think about what's best for the family. After he left, Elena sat in her silent apartment, surrounded by the travel guides and printed itineraries that suddenly felt like evidence of her own foolishness. 8 months of sacrifice, and it all came down to this. Her family expected her to pay for a trip she wouldn't be taking, for the sake of family unity. The most heartbreaking part wasn't even the betrayal. It was how easily they'd all convinced themselves this was reasonable. How quickly they decided her dreams were expendable while treating Sarah's feelings as sacred. Elena picked up her phone and scrolled through the family group chat from the past week. Now, reading with fresh eyes, she noticed things she'd missed before. Sarah's messages weren't questions, they were statements. The cherry blossom viewing will be amazing. I can't wait for the Ryokan experience. Not if I could go, or it sounds wonderful, but the confident language of someone who already knew she was going. They'd all been lying to her. While she'd been working extra shifts and planning surprise experiences, her family had been planning to surprise her instead, with her own exclusion from the trip she'd funded. Don't worry, you can plan another trip later. You're good with money. The casual dismissal echoed in her mind, as if $20,000 was pocket change, as if 8 months of sacrifice was nothing, as if her dreams of sharing Japan with her family could be easily replaced with Sarah's dreams of a free luxury vacation. Elena looked at her suitcase, still half-packed with the outfits she'd carefully chosen for each part of their itinerary. Tomorrow, she planned to finish packing and triple-check all their documents. Instead, she'd be watching her family prepare for her trip without her. The bigger person. That's what they expected her to be. Again. The next morning brought a text from Mom. Mija, can you send me the confirmation numbers for the Ryokan? Sarah wants to see the pictures of the room again. Elena stared at the message, her coffee growing cold in her hands. They really expected her to hand over all her carefully organized travel documents so Sarah could enjoy Elena's meticulously planned itinerary. The audacity was breathtaking.
She didn't respond.
Instead, she opened her laptop and pulled up her travel folder. Months of research condensed into a comprehensive digital file. Confirmation numbers, reservation details, special requests she'd made for her parents' dietary restrictions, the upgraded room she'd secured for their anniversary, the private guide she'd booked who spoke fluent Spanish for her mother's comfort. Every single reservation was under her name. Every payment had come from her credit cards. The entire trip existed because Elena Martinez had made it happen. Her phone rang. Dad again. Elena, your mother's waiting for those confirmation numbers. We fly out tomorrow night, and we need to get organized.
We.
Elena's voice was flat. I thought I wasn't part of we anymore. Don't be difficult. You know what I mean. Just send the information. So let me understand this correctly. You want me to give you all the details for the trip I planned and paid for so that Sarah can take my place, and I should just, what? Wave goodbye from the airport. Elena, we've been through this. This is about family unity. About Sarah getting a free $20,000 vacation. The words came out harder than Elena intended, but she was past caring about being diplomatic. That's unfair. Sarah's going to be family. She's not family yet. And even if she was, since when does being family mean you get to steal someone else's vacation? Nobody's stealing anything. We're trying to include her. By excluding me, there was a long pause. When Dad spoke again, his voice had an edge Elena rarely heard. I'm disappointed in you, Elena. I thought you were better than this. More mature. Your selfishness is really showing. Selfishness. There was that word again. Elena laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even her. You know what, Dad? You're right. I am being selfish. I'm being selfish for wanting to go on the trip I saved for. I'm being selfish for wanting to enjoy the experiences I researched and planned. I'm being terribly, unreasonably selfish for thinking that the person who pays for a vacation should get to go on that vacation. Elena Maria Martinez, I don't like your tone. And I don't like being manipulated, so I guess we're both disappointed. She hung up before he could respond, her hands shaking with adrenaline. She'd never spoken to her father like that before. In the Martinez family, you didn't challenge Dad's decisions. You accepted them, adapted to them, and found a way to make them work. But Elena was done adapting. Her phone immediately started buzzing with texts. Marcus. Elena, please don't make this harder than it has to be. Mom. Mija, we just need the hotel information. Please. Dad. Your attitude is unacceptable. We'll discuss this when I get home. Elena turned her phone face down and opened her laptop. She began clicking through her saved emails, her organized spreadsheets, her carefully bookmarked websites. Every detail told the same story. Elena Martinez had created this trip from nothing. Every experience, every reservation, every special touch had been her idea, her research, her effort. She clicked on her email folder labeled Japan, Special Requests, and began reading through her own communications with various hotels and tour companies. The upgraded room with the garden view she'd requested for her parents' anniversary. The dietary accommodations she'd arranged for her mother's lactose intolerance. The early morning reservation for the bamboo forest that she'd specifically requested because she knew her father would want to photograph the sunrise lighting. Each email was signed with her name. Each special request was her idea. This wasn't just a vacation. It was a love letter to her family, written in the language of careful planning and thoughtful details. And they wanted to hand it all to Sarah like it meant nothing. Elena's phone rang again. This time it was Marcus. Elena, please. Sarah's been planning this for weeks now. She's already taken time off work. She's been learning basic Japanese phrases. She even bought traditional clothes to wear to the tea ceremony. You can't just pull the rug out from under her now. Weeks. Elena's voice was deadly quiet. Marcus, how long have you all been planning this? What do you mean? You said Sarah's been planning this for weeks. The family meeting was 3 days ago. So how long has she been planning to take my place? Silence on the other end. Marcus.
How
long? Elena, it's not what you think. How long have you all been lying to me? We weren't lying. We wanted to find the right way to tell you. Sarah mentioned how amazing Japan sounded, and Dad thought it would be a good opportunity for family bonding. And when did Sarah first mention Japan? I don't remember exactly. When, Marcus? Another pause. Then, quietly. Maybe a month ago? She saw some of the photos you'd posted in the group chat and said she'd always wanted to go somewhere like that. A month ago. Elena remembered that conversation now, with crystal clarity. Sarah had commented on the photos of the ryokan, saying how magical it looked. Elena had been pleased that her future sister-in-law was showing interest in their family trip. She'd even sent Sarah additional photos, wanting to share her excitement. She hadn't realized she was being interviewed for her own replacement. So let me get this timeline straight, Elena said, her voice growing colder with each word. A month ago, Sarah decided she wanted my trip. You all spent weeks planning how to take it away from me. And then you ambushed me in a family meeting, expecting me to just hand over everything I'd worked for. Elena, please. Did you ever consider including both of us? Making it a 5-person trip? The reservations were already made for 4, and changing them would be expensive. More expensive than the $20,000 I've already spent. That's different. How is it different, Marcus? How is it different? But he'd already hung up. Elena sat in her quiet apartment, surrounded by the evidence of her own naivety. Travel guides with sticky notes marking her family's interests. Printed itineraries with handwritten notes about her parents' preferences. A folder full of confirmation emails that represented months of her life. They thought she'd just hand it all over. They thought she'd smile, wish them well, and start planning her own trip for someday while they enjoyed the fruits of her labor. For 8 months, Elena had sacrificed everything to give her family a perfect experience in Japan. And for at least 4 weeks, her family had been planning to exclude her from that experience. She opened her email and began scrolling through her travel confirmations, seeing them with new eyes. Every reservation was tied to her credit cards. Every booking was under her name. The entire trip existed because Elena Martinez had willed it into existence. They wanted her trip, they could have it, but not on her dime. Elena spent the rest of the day in a strange, calm fury. She methodically went through every reservation, every booking, every carefully planned detail of the trip. The Ryokan in Kyoto, $3,200 charged to her Chase card. The private guide service, $1,800 on her Discover card. The Kaiseki dinner experience, $650 charged to her American Express. The bullet train passes, $1,200 also on Chase. Every single expense traced back to Elena Martinez's credit cards and bank account. At 11 p.m., just 8 hours before her family was supposed to fly to Japan, Elena picked up her phone and methodically began making calls. First, the credit cards. Hi, I need to report my cards as compromised. Yes, all of them. I need them frozen immediately. Ma'am, are you sure? This will prevent any charges from going through, including any automatic payments you might have scheduled. I'm positive. Freeze them all. Next, she called the Ryokan directly. Despite the late hour in California, it was afternoon in Japan, and the concierge who answered spoke perfect English. Ms. Martinez, how wonderful to hear from you. We're so excited to welcome you and your family tomorrow. I'm calling to cancel the reservation. A pause. Cancel? Ms. Martinez, your reservation is for tomorrow. Our cancellation policy. I understand there will be fees. Cancel it anyway. May I ask, is everything all right? We've been preparing special arrangements for your parents' anniversary as you requested. Elena's chest tightened, but she forced her voice to remain steady. Plans have changed. Please cancel the entire reservation. The private guide service was next. Then the Kaiseki restaurant. Then the tea ceremony booking that she'd secured through a friend of a friend who knew someone in Kyoto. Each cancellation felt like destroying something beautiful, but Elena pushed through the guilt. They'd made their choice. Now she was making hers. Her phone started ringing at 6 a.m. Dad's number flashed on the screen, but Elena let it go to voicemail. Then Marcus. Then Mom. Then Sarah, which was interesting. Elena hadn't realized her future sister-in-law even had her number. She listened to the voicemails while drinking her coffee. Dad's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. Elena, I don't know what game you think you're playing, but our cards aren't working. We're supposed to fly out in 10 hours. Call me back immediately. Marcus sounded panicked. Elena, please pick up. There's some kind of problem with the hotel reservation. They're saying it's canceled? That can't be right. Please call me back. Mom's message was heartbreaking. Mija, I don't understand what's happening. The airline is saying there's a problem with our tickets. We're supposed to leave today. Please help us fix this. Sarah's voicemail was the most telling. Elena, I know you're upset, but this is really immature. There are 4 people counting on this trip now. You can't just ruin everything because you didn't get your way. You didn't get your way. As if wanting to go on the trip she'd planned and paid for was some kind of childish tantrum. Elena deleted all the voicemails without responding. Her phone rang again. This time she answered. Elena. Dad's voice exploded through the speaker. What the hell have you done? I made a choice, Elena said calmly. Just like you did. This is insane. Do you realize how much money you're throwing away? The cancellation fees alone are my problem, since it's my money. Elena, We can work this out. We can all go. We'll figure out how to include everyone. Elena almost laughed. Now, they wanted to include everyone. After weeks of planning her exclusion, after ambushing her with a family meeting, after expecting her to hand over her itinerary like a travel agent, they suddenly discovered that including everyone was possible. You made your decision, Dad. You chose Sarah over me. You chose her feelings over mine. You chose to exclude me from my own trip. I'm just respecting your choice. Elena, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You wanted Sarah to go instead of me.
Great.
She can go, but she can pay for it herself. You can't be serious. Elena, this is your family. My family made it very clear that I'm not essential to their plans. So my financial support isn't essential either. Elena could hear chaos in the background, voices arguing, someone crying, the sound of luggage being dragged across the floor. Elena, please, Dad's voice cracked. Your mother has been looking forward to this for months. Marcus and Sarah have already taken time off work. Don't punish everyone because... Because what? Because I'm selfish? Because I'm not being the bigger person? Because I'm not mature enough to fund my own replacement. Silence. You know what, Dad? You were right about one thing. I am independent. I am mature. And mature. Independent people don't pay for vacations they're not invited to. She hung up. Within minutes, her phone exploded with texts. Angry messages from Dad. Pleading messages from Mom. Desperate messages from Marcus. And from Sarah. This is so petty. We all know you can afford to book this again. We all know you can afford to book this again. Elena screenshotted that message. The casual entitlement, the assumption that Elena's money was somehow communal property, the breathtaking audacity of suggesting that Elena should fund multiple $20,000 trips so Sarah could have her Japanese adventure. By noon, Elena's phone had 43 missed calls and 67 text messages. She turned it off and went for a walk in the park, enjoying the cherry blossoms that were blooming in her own city. Free cherry blossoms. Beautiful, uncomplicated, and not requiring any family drama to enjoy. When she got home, she found Marcus sitting on her doorstep, looking haggard. Elena, please. We'll do anything. We'll pay you back. With what money, Marcus? You couldn't afford this trip 6 months ago. What's changed? We'll figure it out. We'll get loans, we'll. From who? Dad's already tapped out his retirement savings for the house renovation. Mom's been working part-time since her surgery. And you're paying for a wedding. Elena looked at her brother with something that might have been pity. You know why I could afford this trip, Marcus? Because I don't have a fiancé with expensive tastes. Because I live in a tiny apartment and drive a 15-year-old car and work overtime every week. Elena, please. You made your choice, Elena said, echoing her father's words from the family meeting. You chose her over me. Now live with it. She stepped around him and went inside, leaving her brother on the doorstep with his empty hands and his guilty conscience. That evening, Elena saw Sarah's Instagram story, a photo of a suitcase with Japanese guidebooks, captioned, "When toxic people ruin beautiful plans, broken heart #disappointed #family drama." Elena smiled and opened her laptop. If Sarah wanted to see beautiful plans, Elena would show her what beautiful plans really looked like. Plans that didn't require betraying family members. Plans that didn't require lying and manipulation. Plans that Elena would make for herself.